Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Oh, there we go. Zach is jumping in right now.
Oh, what's up?
What's up, Mr. Pauga? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you for coming, more importantly. Jeez. Well, first off, appreciate you very much. Appreciate your time. Everybody in this space and the people who listen to it later. I'm pretty sure they're all pretty much fans of you. That's why they're here and they want to hear what you have to say. Just thank you right off the bat for your commitment and dedication to MMA and, obviously entertaining us, risking your body to do so. So all of us here understand, not on a deep way, we appreciate that. I just want to say most of everybody here is either former or active martial artists, so we appreciate you a lot.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's great to hear. The fans are what make this a sport. If it wasn't for people paying money to tune in and watch, then I'm just like a dude who takes his shirt off and grabs other dudes. So it's love the fans. I always love the fans.
You are so much more than that. So thank you. Yeah, definitely, man. All right. So going into that, we had a little joke because you were posting some guys. I'm gonna just get right into it. Are you having a hard time finding a fight, sir?
Yeah, dude. I am begging for a fight. I've been trying to fight. I wanted to fight in October, and I've been begging them. I've been begging for fights, and I just cannot get one. I'm waiting for one in December, and just still begging for fights, and have nothing on the books yet.
All right. Well, first off, good luck with that, and I hope, obviously, I hope the phone rings. Shoot. I hope you have to get off the space because they're gonna call you.
Yeah,
bro. That's what But yeah, in the meantime, we're patiently waiting too. So it sucks to hear that you're having a hard time. Now, is there any? Can you give us like a reason that makes sense at all? Because I mean, it seems like they got enough fighters on payroll.
So yeah, and I mean the guys who I would be fighting are like the honest truth, right? I'm coming off a loss. I'm 1-2 in C. Me, whoever I fight next, me and him are fighting for our job. So guys aren't really super stoked to, take a hard fight for a fight that might get them cut, basically. And I'm
Right.
like I've shown in the Jordan Wright fight, like it wasn't super exciting, but I showed that I'm willing to do what it takes to win a fight, even if it means make it boring. And dudes don't like to see that.
Right. Well, I mean, I understand. I could understand that point of view, but it does suck for you because you're ready to go and you want to go. So
yeah, and I mean,
man,
this is not something that I thought I would have to deal with in the UFC. Like we're in the UFC, man. I didn't know that you could turn down fights in the UFC, but apparently you can't. And I mean, you got Volk out there taking on Islam on 10 days notice, and other guys won't accept a full camp to fight someone that's 1-2 in the UFC.
I was gonna say that was. It seems like that's a problem you would have, or that I hear from fighters on the regional scene or lesser organizations, respectfully. So that is kind of odd, and I hope that problem resolves soon because it's not fair. And but do you think? I don't know. On the other side, that is maybe a slight compliment to you that nobody thinks you're an easy lunch.
Yeah, I mean, it is a compliment in that way, but it's also like I do have to
Pay the bills and shit.
well,
Live.
100%, and would like to make some extra money before Christmas. But like I did play a part in this, right? I did have some boring fights, or at least one boring fight, and guys want to someone that's going to go out there and bang with them, even if it's not intelligent. So, I did play a part in what I'm dealing with right now, but hopefully it gets sorted out.
Yeah, man, I really like that you're being a man about that and trying to take every ounce of responsibility that you could possibly absorb. But dude, your job is to fight and to win. Like, and entertainment comes through that process. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you're only half the equation. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say you're wrong, but
Yeah.
you're only half. You are half of the dance, sir. You know.
No, I
So
feel you. I feel you for sure.
yeah, man. Well, with all that being said, UFC, give this man let him bang, bro. In the words of MMA, as we all like to make jokes about. Now, I'm now talking about you, getting to know you a little better. Obviously, we were making jokes about your lack of ability to make fights, and I go, hey man, nobody wants to fight a Polynesian, and I probably say that as a Hawaiian. You are Samoan, right?
Correct. I'm Samoan.
Okay, Samoan, and but you said half of you is Scandinavian.
Yeah. So my dad, is Samoan from Samoa, but he met my mom in college at a university or at a BYU Hawaii, and her parents were Swedish immigrants, so I got a little bit of a mix going on.
Oh my gosh! Did I just hear that Hawaii was another magical spot and a route for MMA magic to happen again? I'm proud of the Hawaii route, so obviously I like to hear that. I was gonna ask because I was like, man,
Absolutely nothing wrong with mixtures, bro.
hell yeah,
Oh yeah.
hybrids. Um, so Zach, because I was gonna be like, man, you from Colorado. How did that mixture come together? But now it makes sense. Thank you for saying all that. So, do you have you have a family of your own? You're talking about Christmas and the kids. How big is your family you got going on?
So yeah, I've got two kids. I have a son that's 3 and a daughter that's 6, and then happily married. So got a solid little
Hell
family
yeah,
of 4 right now.
God bless, man. That's awesome. And obviously Colorado. Now, this to assume you are still with Team Elevation, or
Yep. Yeah.
are you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
They're the ones that they took me from nothing, from just being a football player, didn't know anything about MMA, and they got me to where I am right now. So I will always be with Team Elevation.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. People like to hear that. Man, I appreciate your time. I got other questions and stuff I want to ask you, but I think other fans in the room want to talk to you too. So I don't want to hog up too much. So if anybody wants to talk to Zach, use the heart plus icon on the bottom. Mr. Medina. I gotta mute you, buddy. I think you're wrestling something.
No, that's not me, brother.
I think that's me.
So,
Sorry, I'm opening
oh, maybe that's you,
a
Zach. Never
bag of
mind.
chips for my
Somebody out.
daughter
This is the
right
only
now.
mic I see. It's all
I'm
good.
gonna.
Okay. As long as it's not
Hey,
somebody
Rob.
else, Zach can make his own noise. As long as it's not somebody else, you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna drop down so you can open up a speaking
Question.
spot.
It's all good, dude. No worries about that. I just want to say, so heart plus icon, heart hand goes up, so I know you want to talk. And of course, I'm going to give it to my co-host first, my wingman, Den. Now, Zach, just a heads up, Den, my co-host, he's actually fought back in the day professionally Muay Thai and MMA, so he knows a little bit more about it, than I do.
Oh,
There you
good.
go, Den.
Awesome.
Thanks for that introduction, J-Spec. Hey,
Yes, sir.
Zach, you mentioned that Team Elevation took you from nothing to teach you all you know about MMA. Can you give us a little idea of your background in terms of martial arts? Was there something in particular that sparked your interest and got you involved, or did it just happen randomly?
So I've always been a fan of MMA in general. I've always been a huge fan, and I was 6, I think, when UFC 2 was here in Colorado, like 1994 or whatever. Maybe that was even UFC 1. So I've always been interested in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and then just a huge fan of MMA. So when I was done playing football, done playing rugby, and just still wanted to stay in shape, I just kind of figured to go jump on and do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And it just happened to be where Elevation Fight Team trains. And so it was just, everything just came together after that.
Excellent. I've just touched on something you said there. You used to play rugby and then you played football. Are we talking about NFL, gridiron, or soccer?
NFL. I played American football here in Colorado in high school and college, and then I played professionally for the Houston Texans, and then went and played rugby.
A lifelong athlete.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask you something that's slightly controversial then about rugby and NFL.
All right.
Comparing the two, which would you say is more? I don't want to use the phrase hard because every sport is hard at some point, but which would you say is more physically demanding on the body in terms of hits?
So if we're talking just hits, then
Well, overall, let's go
Okay.
with everything.
Like contact. I think he means contact.
Well, so contact, it's absolutely football. It's absolutely the American football, but that's because it's almost an easier game to play. You have less responsibilities. You're wearing like a suit of armor, and all you have to do is run as fast and as hard as you can for 4 seconds, and then you get a break. Rugby is the hardest thing I've ever done. Rugby's harder than fighting. Like, it's 80 minutes.
Amen.
You can't come out. Like, it is. You have to run, tackle, pass. You have to do everything. Like, rugby is way harder, way more physical. But if you're just talking about hard hits, then it's absolutely football.
Perfect answer. Because every time I try to explain this to like North Americans, they can't grasp the physicality involved in rugby in terms of everything that you have to do, and they always seem to think that they always point to NFL athletes sprinting. I don't know what time they do the 90 or whatever as proof that it's more athletically demanding or something.
Well, when people don't understand, no one can grasp the fact that in rugby, if you come out, you're done. You cannot come out of a rugby game.
Right.
Soccer players can come out and take a breather. Like, you can't come out of a rugby game.
Right. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for that, Zach. I'm sure I'll think of a few more questions before we end this.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Dan, for that. That was great. Zach, killing it,
He's
man.
a very interesting guy, Zach. I'm learning a bit about him here.
Yeah, dude. Zach's like a what is that, Swiss Army knife?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of diversity on topics and things he knows and his experience at a high level is really awesome. No, Mr. Pauga, not everyone, obviously, very few people have been double pro athletes in 2 different sports. You having experience in the NFL and then being in the UFC. How now? Some people, talk about the PI and stuff. I've gotten to go through the facility and check it out and stuff. How would you compare, like, the support programs of the UFC for athlete development to, obviously not maybe the same level as the NFL, but is it can you see parallel lines?
Definitely. And like the PI is awesome. It's
Right?
It's amazing. And like, if you're in Vegas, they'll give you every meal. Like, you never have to pay for food if you live in Vegas.
I've been telling people this.
But it's rough if you don't live in Vegas, because then you get nothing. Like, I can have them send me supplements and like send me food and stuff, but it's not the same as being able to go and get it myself and use their gym every single day. But it is like the UFC and Dana, they never bring it up. I don't think they like to talk about other organizations, but it is really what sets the UFC apart from something like a Bellator or a PFL. Like, yes, we have great athletes, but we also have support. Like, the PI is ridiculous. They take such good care of us when we go there. It's so different than, like, it's like an NFL training room. Just like, you get to be a superstar almost. They treat us great when we go there.
I love to hear that, because, small background, I used to race professionally and I was on the lower tiers, but you still got treated nice. Yeah. And it felt good. And I hear from many fighters that they've never even had that treatment. And I know, at least, you went through the NFL, you definitely had it. So I just wanted to see someone who's been there, done that, if exactly what you said. And I appreciate that answer, because I don't think a lot of people do. Just like you said, I don't think a lot of people appreciate the difference of care, if I use the right words, that the UFC has for their fighters.
Yeah, and like the staff, everyone gets to see Dana and hear Dana, right? The staff at the PI is not Dana. Like, every fighter, top to bottom, they are awesome to all of us. Like, they take such good care of you when you walk in there, whoever you are, whatever your record is, as long as you're a part of the UFC.
That's what's up. And I can say as a guest, I felt the awesomeness, you know, and I actually did get to eat some of their food. So yeah,
Nice.
Zach, I'm sorry. Well, hey, you know what? They got plenty of room in here in Vegas, bro. Come on down.
Listen, so if I didn't have, like I said, my team that is my team and will be my team forever. If I was just a single dude, like, looking around, there's no reason to not live and train in Vegas.
That's right. You heard it, everybody. Vegas, the fight mecca of the world. Young fighters, if you're not already committed, obviously stay loyal to your squad that got there. Zach's doing the right thing. But if you are a lone wolf out there, come to Vegas. Now, with that being said, talking about Team Elevation, can you drop some names of some of your training partners keeping you sharp?
Yeah, so my main training partners, right, are Curtis Blades. He's the reason that I was brought into the team, because he needed a big guy to roll with. So he's my number one. But then we've been putting together a little light heavyweight squad with Devin Clark, and then Ty Flores, who's in the PFL, Ben Tynan, who just signed with one championship. So we've got, in my opinion, the best, like, big guy room that there is, right? You're not going to really walk into a gym anywhere and have 7 or 8 heavyweight training partners.
That's always been the thing. That's the reality of pro sports in general, and of course, combat sports, right? Like that upper tier of dudes is just they're not everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, when I joined the team, it was Curtis and AllStar Overeem were the two big heavyweight names, and, like, they're the ones that brought me up. They're the ones that turned me into what I am today. And then now, like I said, AllStar's retired, and kind of I'm moving into that slot of one of the more veteran guys, even though I don't feel like it yet.
Hey, that's, as turns the clock, but it's better to be better to be that respected veteran, I think. And you have more than that, right? You have more sport. I think, I'm not trying to dog anybody, but just giving you credit. Like, as far as being an athlete, you have a very high understanding of what it takes to be a pro athlete through and through.
Yeah, definitely.
That probably, like,
I would.
Yeah, that probably the gym benefits from, right? Other guys benefit from your professionalism.
Yeah, and, like, if you've come from any type of high level team sport and then you get into MMA, it's so weird and funny because, like, everyone's just kind of in charge of themselves in MMA. Like, I don't care what sport it is, football, soccer, rugby, like, your coach tells you when and where to be somewhere, when training is, when strength and conditioning is, all this stuff. MMA, it's like everyone's just on their own, just does whatever they want. There's team practices, but if and when you lift is up to you. Like, it's crazy.
That is that, and that's where the magic happens, right? That self-discipline. There's, I'm not going to get into it because I'm not near that level, but that separates a lot of people. Now, you're talking about, obviously, having one of the better big rooms, Team Elevation, and obviously how we all got to know you. And pointing to my fight sister in the room, Brianna Frost. She is one of the original fans of you, Mr. Pauga. She's been following you since you stepped on the tough scene and all that. So I want to rewind the clock to that portion. Obviously, you went up to heavyweight. You compete at light heavyweight and all that. What is that? Now, obviously, you risked it. You made it into the UFC and worked out. Is that something you would advise to maybe a future Zac Pauga out there? Like, hey, who cares if it's not your weight class? Just go for it.
I mean, in that aspect, absolutely. Like, opportunities are so limited. If you want to do something special, right? Not even talking about fighting. If you want to be great at anything, opportunities are limited. And if you're going to wait for this perfect opportunity, they haven't had a light heavyweight season. I think there's only been one season since mine, but it wasn't a light heavyweight season. So Like if you have an opportunity to do something great, to do something special, you have to take it, even if it's not, the perfect X and O's all line up. You've got to jump on opportunities when they're given to you.
Hell yeah, my man. That's facts, and I appreciate you saying that. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on the tough era, but I am curious. Like, obviously, you played pro football. Obviously, that had its thing, and then you went to MMA. You went kind of straight into the pretty decent leagues, to be honest. Like, a lot of people start lower. You went right into the LFA, then Cage Warriors, and then into Tough. Like, that's not, you definitely like kind of started at a higher level of difficulty than most. Um, when you look back on that path, are you proud of that?
I mean, I'm definitely proud of that. That was not the plan, but it's just how it went. My entire amateur career was at heavyweight, and I wanted to take some pro heavyweight fights before. I didn't want my first pro fight to be my first time cutting and to be on the LFA against another good opponent. But when you people Google my name, right? You like there's things that come up. It's not like when you Google some other random 0-0 pro and you have no idea who he is. Okay, I'll fight that guy. All my videos come up. People see that I have an athletic background. So it was a similar situation to what I'm in right now, where I just could not get a fight. I couldn't get a heavyweight fight. I couldn't get anything. And then the LFA, like, more or less brought me in to lose. Like, they brought me in against a 5-1 dude. They brought me in to lose, and obviously I didn't. I won, but then you beat that guy, and then definitely no one's fighting you on the local scene once you beat that guy on the LFA. So it just trying to seal the deal. I guess I'm just fighting on the regional scene forever now until I can get into the UFC.
Yeah, you cannot go lower than B minus, right? Like, you're just stuck. Yeah, because you have an impressive resume. For people who haven't checked them out, check. Do your research. That's a joke in the space. So, man, all of your opponents, man, were winners. Were actually are all winners. Like, that's not a lot of people can say that. You fought winners, my man.
And so and it's another thing too that, like, hopefully I can get across that I'd like to keep it real and be honest with, like, myself and with other people. I turned pro at 32. Like, I was old when I turned pro. I didn't have time to, like, flesh out my record with a bunch of easy fights. I had to find out real quick if I'm about this or not. And that was taking hard fights. It wasn't just fighting bums,
Right. No, real talk. And since we're on talking about real stuff, hey, I was never famous, but when I turned pro and after I turned pro, I noticed an influx and a decrease of people in my life. And I'm probably pretty sure that probably happened to you with the NFL.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And then, like you said, that time goes by, but you find you're good at something else. 32, UFC, MMA, boom, boom, boom. You get on Tough, your face on the TV again. Can I ask you, how was life before Tough and then after Tough?
It was interesting.
Like getting your face on TV again. You know what I mean?
The funny thing is, so like, you're right. Like, I was in the NFL, right? And I thought I was going to blow up way more from the Ultimate Fighter, especially like, and they did a horrible job. They didn't show really anything. I think my season was one of the worst seasons of Tough ever. But I thought, in the house, like, winning fights, clowning on all these dudes, I thought I was going to blow up and be like Jake Paul status after the season. And I got a check mark. That was about it. Instagram gave me a check mark. I still only had like 700 Twitter followers and stuff like that. So I did, once the season ended and I was in the finals and getting into the UFC, they're like randos. Oh, hey man, we went to elementary school together. Can I come train? Can I come hang out? Like, those people did show up, but I thought I was going to blow up. Like, when I was sitting in the Tough House and just winning fights and, like, just clowning these guys. I thought I was going to be a superstar after that, and that did not happen.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. That's right.
All right, not yet, sir. Not yet. But we're here. This room supporting you, bro. We like you, so you got momentum. So chin down, hands up, keep going. Now I'm gonna turn it over to some hands. People have been waiting. Thank you guys for being so patient. I just gotta keep going because he said something. I gotta go one more round with him, and then I'm gonna turn the mic over. So you said something. Hey, I was thinking it would be like Jake Paul or something like that. I wanted to ask you, man. Obviously, we're on a day where there's a big fight crossover event for Dylan Dennis and blah 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 and all this other stuff and the boxing. Would you consider getting in the boxing ring with somebody? Because why not, right? This is the era that we're in. Would you consider doing a crossover event?
Absolutely. I would, but I look at it a lot different than, so many of these people are like, oh, they're disgracing the art or whatever, It's just fighting. Like, I think more people should fight. More people should take boxing matches. More people should take MMA fights. It just, I think it's cool. It's not a huge deal to me to fight somebody. So I would absolutely, do one of those celebrity boxing match things.
Hell yeah, Zach. All right, cool. I just had to throw it out there since it seems to be a thing at the time. All right, I'm gonna pause myself. Zach, you got some more time for us? Because I didn't realize we'd have so much awesome stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I got some time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
J-Spec,
it.
before you go on, can I just ask if Leslie is listening? I've been trying to give you the mic, but it's not letting me do that. I think you might have to close the spaces or reboot and try again.
All right. Yeah, Leslie, want to hear from you. So definitely on that. Thank you, Dan. Wonderful co-host. PC, Strickland, you had your hand up first, and then I'll go, then Dragon Daddy, and then Daniel and Fonz. So PC,
hey, what's going on,
up.
Zach? I just want to say thanks for joining the space. I appreciate it. I wanted to ask, since you were in so many sports, participated in so many sports, kind of covered it, but I kind of wanted to know, which group of guys pushes each other the hardest, being in a gym full of MMA fighters? Who cares about each other's health more? Do you care about your teammates pushing them to be the healthiest? I just want to see, do football teams do that? Do rugby teams do that? I didn't know how it worked across all sports.
So football is a very individual sport, just the way the game is played in general, right? It's more of an individualist sport. Rugby is the complete opposite. You got to have your team around you to protect you no matter what position you're playing. So there's a huge brotherhood, huge camaraderie in rugby. I still am great friends with everyone I played with in rugby. And then fighting is kind of individual again. Maybe you can make really good friends. I've made great friends. Me and AllStar, he's like a mentor of mine, and he still talks to me daily and cares about my career. But once you get in the cage, you're by yourself. So definitely rugby is just the way the game is played leads to this type of brotherhood, because you all really have to lean on each other while you're playing.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate
that.
Yeah.
Sorry, PC. I didn't mean to step on you. I didn't know if your mic was there. So, but yeah, man, excellent and great answer. Excellent stuff, Mr. Silvera.
Wow, Zach the Ripper's here. Rippler. All right, my question is, I got family in Denver. What's it going to cost me to do a train session with you and Team Elevation?
So you're not really able to just jump right into Team Elevation. You could come and do you can go to High Altitude Martial Arts and just get a regular membership. I'm not sure what their membership fees are, and start working your way up. But if you're just asking about a mid session or a one-off, just training session, then the other gym that I'm a part of, Vital Training Systems, they do offer one-off mid sessions and one-off training sessions, and I think it's $75 or $85 for a half-hour session.
It's worth it. Hell
Worth it.
yeah. It's
Worth
totally
it.
worth it because, I stay here in Louisiana, but that's one of the elevation fight team. And the other place you mentioned is one of the places I do want to visit next time. I didn't have time the first time around because I was there for a wedding, but I'm definitely going to find
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's a great question and that's a great answer, which brings me to another point. Everybody, follow Zac. Zac, you want to? Obviously, they're here on Twitter. They can click your profile right here. Do you want to just say your Instagram handle for those of the people listening later?
Yeah, so it's the exact same thing. Zac Pauga, ZACPAUGA. Everywhere you can find me. I'm the only one of those on planet Earth. So,
hey, all right.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
That's all for me.
All right, thanks, man. We're gonna go to Spawn. Oh, sorry, it's not Spawn. I lied. Fonz was first. Sorry, Spawn. Fonz then Spawn. Fonz.
Hey, what's up, man? I just had a question. I love playing matchmaker and stuff like that. So I was going to ask you, how would you feel about fighting Chris Barnett, and how would you see that fight going if you had to fight him in the heavyweight division?
So I love that fight. I would love to fight Chris Barnett. I was if I had won if I had beaten Muhammad in the Ultimate Fighter finale, I was just going to stay at heavyweight and just roll and never cut weight again. And that he was one of the first people that I wanted to call out was Chris Barnett. So if he wants to fight at heavyweight, I'll do it. I would love that fight.
Oh, there we go. Shots fired. What's up, Barnett? Where you at? Spawn, you got your hand up. Go for it, sir.
Hey, Zac, just wanted to stop in, hear what you had to say. Thank you for coming by and tell you I appreciate your style of finishing fights, or at least trying to. Not a lot of athletes will sacrifice a win for a finish, but I think you're one of them, and I appreciate it, bud.
Cool. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate the love.
That's what's up. And Wingman.
Is Dragon's not in here? He had his hand up earlier.
Yeah, Dragon. I miss Dragon. Dragon, if you ever hear this afterwards, I'm sorry, bud. I tried to get to you, but you must have had to go.
Zac, I just have a question regarding, I don't know if you get them, pre-fight nerves. Like, when does it kick in for you? And if it does, at what point do you think your body just goes, fuck it, and just gets on with it?
So I've been competing for a long time, and like I've competed in front of huge stadiums, 90,000 people. The only like real nerves I get now is right when I accept a fight. Like the day that I accept, they send me the contract, I sign it, and I just can't stop thinking about this guy. I'm watching all his tape. Like I don't sleep for like 24 hours after I accept the fight. But once I get to go train and get to go do what I know I'm supposed to do, it all just settles in. So that's one thing. I know a lot of my boys have a big issue with pre-fight nerves, but it's not really anything that's ever affected me.
I mean, speaking for myself, I could never get over it per se, but no matter how many times I made that walk, like in the training room, I'm fine. Warming up, I'm fine. Getting gloved up, I'm fine. But the minute I start walking, something would be like, why are you doing this? This is crazy. And then, like, when you're making that walk, I don't know how to explain it. There's a point where, like, you accept that it's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
And your mind just changes and you're locked in. You're focused. Everything just melts away. And it just becomes that one singular focus. Like your body switches to a different mode of being.
Yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about. And like I said, luckily I have a lot of experience, and that's something that I purposely go towards in the back, in the training room. Like when we get off the bus, when I'm getting my hands wrapped, it's just all business. Like I know what I'm there for. I know what I'm there to do. It's all business at that point.
Hell yeah, that's what's up. Appreciate that. And to my other co-host, Sickle.
Yo, Zac, thanks for joining us, brother. I just wanted to ask you, obviously I know college career, Colorado State, correct? Not Colorado?
Colorado State.
And you got a degree from there,
yeah.
right? Was there ever a moment, like, obviously while you're there, you went, played for the Texans, so the goal was obviously the NFL. I'm assuming that was always the goal when you were there. In hindsight, do you look back at it now and say, like, damn, I wonder where I would be in my progression in MMA if I started at a younger age? Or do you go back and look at it and say, if I did something a little bit differently, maybe I would have lasted longer in the NFL? Like, do you ever think about that kind of stuff? Or is that just like, hey, that's part of the past. It is what it is. I only have plan A now.
You know, people ask me about that all the time. They ask me about both those questions. Do I wish I started MMA earlier, or is there something else I could have done to stay in the NFL longer? And the truth is that without every piece of the puzzle leading up to right now, I'm not the fighter I am today. Like, if I start off fighting earlier, I probably get into the UFC. If I'm one of these lifelong martial artists, I have no doubt I would have gotten to the UFC in, 24, 25. But when I was 24 and 25, I was an idiot. That's why I got cut from the NFL. I was a moron.
Same, brother. Same.
So that's
me too.
That's exactly, like, I was not ready to be the guy that I am right now, and that's just the truth. And I had to get cut from the NFL, go to a different sport, play rugby, and be like, oh, you know what, I'm super athletic, I can play these other sports, but then get cut from there too, and be like, okay, I'm athletic, but there's something else I'm not doing, and figure that out for me to have the success that I'm going to have in the UFC here.
Right. Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it. I mean, that resume of yours, dude, like, playing college football, a lot of people don't get the luxury of doing that, being able to graduate from there, being able to play in the NFL, being able to play professional rugby, being in the UFC, like that in itself is fucking insane, brother.
Cool, yeah. Thank you, man.
We recognize you, Mr. Pauga. That's what we say. That's what I tell you when you walked in, my man. Now, obviously, your chain of action right now is you're light heavyweight. You're moving forward. You got your plans. Obviously, the champ and all the money that comes with it is always the goal. But I just got a question for you. Who do you think at the end of next year will be your division champion?
At the end of next year,
and Zac Pauga is a correct answer.
Now, listen, like I said, I'm realistic and I'm honest, and my goal is to be ranked by the end of next year. But as far as who our champ is, my gut feeling is probably Pereira.
All right, hey, I appreciate that. It's just gonna put on your psychic hat and guess who's out there. Just now, something that is just prevalent in the sport, but it's a hot topic right now just because the way the news and everything is cycling. And you obviously have gone through several different systems. So I just want to, maybe you can't comment on. If you can't right now, please just tell me, move on, and we will. But any thoughts on like the whole USADA PEDs situation in the sport?
I'm interested to see what they roll out in place of it. I know everyone is like jumping on this bandwagon thinking it's just going to be the Wild West again, but I don't think that's the case. USADA is a pain in the ass, guys. Like, it's a pain in the ass to just have a dude that can show up to your house at 4 a.m. and make you pee in a cup, or that you have to let him know where you're staying when you're on vacation and stuff. It's a pain in the ass, and it disproportionately affects fighters, right? Like, USADA's not sending guys to the mountains of Dagestan to collect their pee at 5 a.m. Like, it's just the truth.
Right.
That's just how it goes. So
right.
I'm pretty excited that it's going away, but I have no idea what they're going to replace it with. I know they said they said the organization and all the guys that are going to be in place of it, but
clean sport.
Yeah, but what?
I seen one of the guys. Yeah, one of the guys in charge, or could be a figurehead of it, is a former Saddam Hussein interrogationist. Yeah. Like, if people thought USADA was nuts, we're talking dudes who interrogated Saddam Hussein, folks, trying to inspect your pee. Like that's
But
crazy.
yeah, but I don't know.
Anyways,
Are they trying to ramp it up? Like, is the UFC trying to say we need
right.
more stringent testing, or are they trying to back it off or keep it the exact same but just move away from the organization of USADA? I don't know. I don't know, and I don't really.
Well, from
Right.
what from what I read, right, that guy, the FBI guy, is going to work for the UFC. He's not a part of the Clean Sport organization.
Oh.
So Clean Sport are an existing organization that do PD testing for all the sports. They're established already. They have all the equipment for testing and that kind of stuff and their own procedures. But the UFC is going to put in place like this is from what I've read. So I don't know if that's true based on what's reported, but from what I've read, it sounds like the UFC is going to have, like how they have Jeff Nowitzki and his
like
team.
Nowitzki.
Yeah, so they're going to set up a team in the UFC to coordinate with Clean Sport and set up a program specifically for MMA for testing and so on.
Well, that sounds actually somewhat promising, but I guess Zach, I'll have to talk to you in the future about that.
Clean Sport does the NFL, right? And those tests, they aren't random. The NFL tests aren't random. So, like, whether it's going to remain 24/7, 365 random testing, that's what I'm not sure about.
I guess that's what they're going to figure out. But they're talking about using, like, in athletics, they have your bio passport and so on.
Yeah.
So they're going to be looking at setting all of that up for MMA from what I'm reading. Biometric passport as in records of your testing and so on, so they can compare tests to see if you're getting elevated, like TE and whatever else they test for.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting what happens.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate you telling us that stuff about Clean Sport, and because you have that experience. I want to go just a little bit further into I think it was last week. Sometimes my memory gets blurred together. I don't know if you saw, but there's a situation where a fighter was holding onto the gloves. I believe it was a Dober fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So nowadays, right? I feel like people are like kind of being correct in saying, what's up with all the fouls? As someone who's in there having to deal with it, we're, as fans in this room, constantly going, hey, what the heck? You're just going to get a free eye poke? Or basically the question I'm getting to is, do you like the way the foul rules are right now, or would you like to see some changes made?
Oh, there absolutely needs to be some changes with everything. There should be they need to take out the discretion, referee discretion. If you grab the glove, if you grab the fence, if you poke an eye, if you kick someone in the nuts, that's a point. That's a point. Like that's how it has to be. That one you're talking, because Dober's my teammate too. That dude is just holding on for dear life on Dober's glove, praying that he doesn't get knocked out.
Right.
And Chris Toyoni, whatever, how you say his name, just like, let go of the glove. And that's the only recourse. Like, and because Dober still got the knockout, everyone kind of just forgets about it. But yeah, that was ridiculous.
Right.
That was
right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, big time ridiculous. We've seen, and then other times we see like a fence grab. Like obviously the glove one like that was just horrendous. But then we'll see one fence grab, in our opinion, is like, oh, that could have been, critical or position adjusting. And then another time they'll barely touch the fence and they'll be like point.
Yeah. No,
like you said, the referee discretion point is messed up there, right?
Yeah, there just has to be. They need to take the discretion away, and then watch how many guys eye poke. Right, if it's an instant point, I promise you, we see eye pokes leave this sport. If every single time you do
Zach,
that,
I said that last week.
Yeah.
That's the thing, Rob. That's the thing. Anytime touching on the referee's discretion, every time you have humans involved, right? We have things that are within us in terms of our psyche where we can be too cautious in the way we approach stuff, or sometimes we're too eager. It just depends on the personality. So if you give someone a choice in something, then it's not going to be consistent if you have multiple people doing that. So my point being is, if you're going to do, as Zach say, give discretion at the referee's discretion, what we find is some referees will referee differently to others. So if you take that element away, you'll get more consistency in the sport. And I
Hell
think
yeah.
that's what Zach is talking about. And I completely agree. I mean, if you can remove that element of referee's discretion, you make it more consistent.
I just want to say, Zach, that's you and I are dead on in agreement of, hey, start calling that 1 point immediately for those fingers, and you're gonna see that just immediately drop off. I'm glad a fighter has said it, or you just said it.
Look at other organizations. We don't have that eye poke thing. We didn't have it being as big of an issue in Pride. In fact, I don't remember it being an issue in Pride. We don't see it in and they're doing MMA, not just MMA. They're doing Muay Thai and MMA gloves in one, and we don't see these eye pokes. It seems to be prevalent in the UFC for some reason.
Well, fair enough. I'm gonna throw the mic over to Sicko, our other co-host. He had a question, I think, that came up from our conversation just a second ago.
Yeah, it was on the topic of like the drug testing and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw earlier, Rob, our boy JHK had posted something. So that dude's name is George Pyro or George Piro, however you pronounce it. The FBI, the dude that was like former FBI, is in charge of the UFC now.
Yes.
And when he posted about it, I was like, bro, this can't be true. This can't be right. So I went and looked it up. And yeah, apparently like his Instagram bio is like American top team, IBJJF, Nogi champion. And I'm just like, damn, how is that not a conflict of interest if you have somebody with that title and that importance and they have a direct relationship
gym affiliation
with a team? Yeah, with a gym. And I'm like, I don't know, as a fighter, like, you know, obviously Zach's in here, like how, like, shit, is everyone just gonna have to go to ATT now? Like,
I did not know that. I had no idea. That's news to me, and it's
yeah, dude. Yeah, I didn't. When I saw him post it, I was like, "This can't be right." So I went and looked it up. I mean, it's not hard to find at all. Like his bio, like you just Google him, his Instagram comes up, and yeah, like I mean, he's obviously a very proud member of his gym, which he should be. But it's just like, you know, how in the hell is he going to be able to have those relationships and still hold everyone accountable the same way?
well.
You know, it's gonna.
At
Yeah,
least
I
he's
don't
not.
think it's a good idea.
You know, at least he's not gonna be so like right now. Nowitzki, I don't think people really understand what his job is. His job is to help the fighters. Like he doesn't try and like catch us or do anything like that. He's who you call if you're not sure about a supplement or you're not sure about if you can take an IV and stuff. So Nowitzki actually is a resource to the fighter, and it sounds like this dude's going to be the same type of thing where he's a UFC employee. So it's at least he's not like a matchmaker or a judge or something where having gym affiliations would be rough. But I still don't, does that mean ATT guys aren't going to get it tested as much or are going to get a little bit of leeway? Who knows?
Right. It just makes you wonder, which is obviously not what you want in the sport.
But at least he's someone that trains, right? And he's somebody who knows what athletes and fighters go through. So who knows?
Good point.
Yeah.
Great point there. Man, so much good stuff. Zach, I don't know how much time you got. You got a couple more rounds in
I
you?
got like 10 more
long.
minutes. 10 more minutes. My kids are just waking
10 more
up
minutes.
from their
All right.
nap. So.
Perfect. All right. So, people, if you got anything you want to say to Zach, get your hand up so I know. But in the meantime, I'm going to fire off a couple questions to him. So, you knocked out all that good stuff that I wanted to ask. But there's another part I wanted to ask. Your favorite fighter? Simple question. Who's your favorite fighter?
Of all time or right now?
Let's go both. Let's separate them.
So of all time, it was
any sport, doesn't matter.
Well, it was so funny because I was always a huge AllStar Overeem fan, like massive. Like I said, I've been a fan of this sport since 1994. So I used to come home and watch like Pride replays and stuff when I was in middle school. So I was always a huge AllStar fan, and then he ended up becoming like a friend and a training partner. So that was crazy for me. But right now it's Volkanovski, man. Active fighters, Volk is the best in the world, just pound for pound best, and I love watching him scrap.
I think we all love watching him scrap, and you picked a solid one to say. So that's active. Who would be? And AllStar was your all-time, so I appreciate that, man. That's some good ones. Have you ever found yourself like kind of like fanning? Like, I know it's kind of like a lot of fighters don't want to admit it, but I know if I'm when I'm in the room and I see somebody like you said, because you watching fighters from the Pride days, is there any like OGs that you wanted to take pictures with?
So I'll tell you, I never do that. And that's why me and AllStar actually became friends, right? He walks into the gym and everyone's mobbing him and like trying to get photos and all this stuff. And I just say, hey man, you want to get around? Like, you want to spar? And like I said, I'm a fan. I love it, but I'm not a fanboy. Like, I'm nobody's fanboy where I'm going to try and stop our training, get a photo, or not even train with the guy and get photos with him afterwards. So I don't really do that. And that's kind of like why AllStar like wanted to become friends with me, because I was the only person in the room not doing that with him. But yeah, that's just not something that I do.
That's the old water sinks its own level.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that. I've never heard that. I like it. Though.
Really? Oh shoot! I'm glad I could share it with you. All right.
Before you go on, can I jump in quickly, Rob?
Of course, because there's a couple of people that have been kicked by Zac Pauga. I mean, not by Zac Pauga. There's a couple of people that have been kicked by AllStar over him. One is probably Zac, because you trained with him, so it makes sense that you got kicked by him. And two is Den. Den's been kicked by over him. So yeah, of course you guys should talk about this.
Hey Zac, have you seen Overeem's dad?
I have.
Or a picture of him? Do you find it comical how small his dad is compared to him?
It is interesting. It's interesting,
right?
Yeah. Just he got the fast twitch muscles from his dad, from the Jamaican side, and then all the size from his mom.
From his mom, right?
Hybrids.
Like when he came in the gym, right, and he said that he was Alistair's dad. I'm looking at him, right, and he was Overeem at the time, and I'm looking at Overeem, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then, like, he said his mom is the big one, the tall one. So it's like, oh yeah, she's Dutch. That makes sense then. I can see it now. But it was comical to me that this little, I think he was like 5'6" or 5'7".
Yeah.
And Overeem is like 6'4".
With that, and so can I'm not one to try to like get fighters to talk about other fighters, but you said when you talked about Mr. Overeem, you said retired. Is he all done? 100%?
Yeah, he's 100%. I think he announced it last week that he's 100% done. I think he was, working through some contract stuff with Glory and just didn't like how it was turning out. So I know he is. He announced it last week that he's done fighting.
Okay. And I just say that because as a fan of the sport for so long, I love you fighters, but sometimes you guys lie about when you're retiring. I'm just saying. So
well, and also with USADA leaving, hopefully that stops. You don't do that. As soon as that became an option, I knew USADA was done. As soon as you could just retire, juice up, and then come back, I knew USADA wasn't going to be around for much longer.
Right, you saw the holes in the ship. All right, now something that's kind of on the perimeter, but it's getting fans excitement, and it's starting to have some big fights. Bare knuckle MMA. You got any thoughts about it?
I think it's cool, man.
Not saying you want to do it. Oh, you think it's cool? Sweet.
I like the fights to be as close to a real fight as possible, dude. I wish we could go back to UFC 1 days. You want to wear shoes? Wear shoes. You want to wear one boxing glove? Wear one boxing glove. You want to wear gi? Put your gi on. Like, just get in that cage and fight. But I think it's cool. Makes it easier to grapple. The gloves make it really hard to grapple. If you do jiu-jitsu, try just wearing some MMA gloves and doing your jiu-jitsu and see how hard it is to sink your chokes in and stuff.
Stupid. Yeah, it's not ideal. You're almost like, did nobody like think
Yeah.
about this? Like, but yeah, for sure. So okay, you're a fan of it. Now of course you want to be UFC champ, and all that stuff. But would you ever consider doing a bare knuckle MMA fight?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I tried to do.
Just hypothetically.
If it came up and the money was there, but I would absolutely do it. When I was on the local scene, Wyoming was doing Lathway fights, and I tried to go do
Oh
I
shit.
tried to go do a Lathway fight, and I couldn't get an opponent to do a Lathway fight. But I'm all for it, man. I just like to fight. That's why I'm in this sport. I just like to fight.
Well, if you
Respect
didn't
to
like to
that.
fight, you'd be in a completely wrong sport.
And I'm just gonna say this. I know Zach and I are both hybrids, but as a Hawaiian who grew up in Hawaii, playing with Samoans all over the time, I do not suggest playing a sport where the Samoan can headbutt you. You're gonna lose. So if anybody fights Zach in Leeway, you're gonna lose. I bet you. But now, one more thing. You talk about Colorado and MMA, and just to make the connection. Obviously, won championship, kind of a big deal. The Colorado made the rule change. Are you a fan of? And I'm guessing where you're gonna go, but are you a fan of the one rule set where kneeing on the ground is allowed?
Yeah, absolutely. And like everyone talks about how superior like wrestlers are, right? It's a great
Right.
art, and they're really good. But the reason wrestlers are able to dominate is because the rule set allows them to dominate. Wrestlers weren't really all that in Pride when you could fucking boot them in the head when they shot a low single, Like, so I'm all for the knees to the ground opponent. I don't think one allows the soccer kicks, but
Stomp, no,
yeah,
only rising.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
for it. I'm for it.
Sweet. All right. Well, okay. I know I'm gonna end my questions. I'm gonna thank you for time, but I know there's two people that are kind of close to me in this space that I know want to talk to you, Zach. So I want to pass the mic to Guy, Bob Guy. You got the mic.
Hey Zach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So listening to you for a while, I realize you're sound like you're up for anything. You just want to fight. Just like the UFC isn't giving you a fight right now, and you just want to get out there and fight. Would you? I know they've asked you this, but there's so many huge fans of slap fighting in this room. I'm wondering if you would do a little slap fighting for a little extra coin on the side.
So I mean, I guess we got to what I wouldn't do, right? I would absolutely never do. It's about hit. It's about hit and don't get hit, right? Hit and don't get hit.
You want to
I'm not.
You don't.
Thank you, Zach. This is what I've been saying.
Thank you.
It's not a sport.
Good man.
Zach, you just saved all of us right there, bro. We finally have found Mr. Pauga's line.
That's right.
And the line is there. Bare knuckle MMA. You want to do some layway? You want to get down any kind of MMA rule set? He'll meet you anywhere. You want to fight light heavyweight? He'll see you. You want to go heavyweight? He'll meet you. It don't matter. Like, except slap fighting.
Yeah, guys. I think Zach has spent too many years in college to go do slap fighting.
Yes, sir. That degree is too important. I just thank you so much for that, man. And the last person, it's going to be a quick hello. My fight sister, Brianna. You got your mic? She's sitting there. I know Bree. I know. I was just gonna introduce real quick, and she's there by her mic because, like I said, Zach, Bree is a little bit shy, but she wanted to say hi, and she's been a fan of you since the moment you got into the MMA / UFC scene. She was on it. So, but anyways, she's not there. I want to thank you for your time. I went 2 minutes over, so I apologize. Thank you so much for all of this time that you've given us, all of this knowledge, your personality, your honesty, sir. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate just feeling the love. I love it, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Zach, I hope you get a fight soon, bro. Good luck with that. And it sucks that you're at the pinnacle of the sport and people don't want to fight. I don't understand it.
Me neither.
But best of luck, man, with the future.
Thank you.
Hope you get something soon.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Follow Zac Pauga, everybody. And Zach, I don't know if you're gonna fight in Vegas. When you do get your fight, you can fight anywhere around the world. But if you do fight in Vegas, hope to meet up with you and see you in real life.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.